He searched it on his 6-year-old son's iPad at 4:52 in the morning. How do you dispose of a body? That was the first search, typed in the dark on New Year's Day 2023, while 3 children slept upstairs and the house was quiet. Over the next several hours, on that iPad and on his MacBook, the searches kept coming, each one more specific and more operational than the last. How long before a body starts to smell? Dismemberment and best ways to dispose of a body. Can you be charged with murder without a body? How to clean blood from a wooden floor. What happens when you put body parts in ammonia? Then he drove to a Lowe's in Rockland, Massachusetts, put on rubber gloves before getting out of the car, pulled a mask over his face, walked inside, and filled a shopping cart with a hacksaw, a hammer, a Tyvek protective suit, a utility knife, and cleaning supplies. He paid $463.26 in cash. The store camera recorded every second. His masked face, his gloved hands, the cart, the items, the timestamp. He had no idea. His wife Anna had been celebrating New Year's Eve with him just hours before that parking lot moment. She was 39 years old, a mother of 3 boys, a woman who had come to America from Serbia with nothing and built herself a real career at one of the most powerful real estate firms in the world. By the time investigators pulled that Lowe's footage, she was already gone. Her body has never been found whole, but what investigators recovered from dumpsters, trash processing facilities, and the basement of their own home in Cohasset built a case so precise and so complete that a jury needed only 6 hours. Guilty. First-degree murder, premeditated. This is the story of Ana Walshe and the man who believed that no body meant no crime. He was catastrophically wrong. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what Brian Walshe searched and precisely when he searched it. Search by search, timestamp by timestamp. You will follow the CCTV trail he left across 2 counties in Massachusetts, store by store, receipt by receipt, camera by camera. You will find out what investigators pulled from those dumpster bags and what Anna's DNA confirmed on a hacksaw recovered from a trash facility. You will hear the one defense argument that made that courtroom go silent and understand why 12 jurors rejected it unanimously. You will discover the $2.7 million life insurance policy, the affair nobody discussed openly, and the divorce searches Brian ran on his devices in the days before Anna disappeared. And you will understand how prosecutors secured the first-degree murder conviction in Massachusetts history without ever recovering the victim's body. That had never been done before. Not once. This is how they built that case. Ana Walshe was not born in Massachusetts, and she did not grow up expecting to end up there. She was born in Belgrade, Serbia, where she attended the 5th Belgrade Gymnasium and earned a degree in French language and literature from the University of Belgrade. At some point in her 20s, she made a decision that would define the rest of her life. She would build something new, somewhere else, entirely on her own terms. She arrived in the United States in 2005. She had her education, her ambition, and no safety net. She started at the bottom of the American hospitality industry, working hotel jobs that most people treat as temporary. For Anna, they were a foundation. She moved from property to property, city to city, learning the industry from the ground up, developing the kind of operational knowledge that cannot be taught in a classroom. By 2022, she was a regional general manager at Tishman Speyer, one of the most powerful commercial real estate firms on the planet, with properties across multiple continents. She had become a dual citizen. She had built exactly what she came for, from exactly nothing. People who knew Anna described her the same way, repeatedly. Warm, direct, someone who said what she meant and followed through on what she promised. Someone who called you back, someone who showed up. She had 3 boys she talked about constantly, ages 2, 4, and 6 at the time of her disappearance. Friends testified that the guilt of being away from them during her Washington, D.C. work weeks weighed on her heavily. She loved her career, but she loved her children more, and she was actively trying to find a way to close that distance, to be in one place, more present, watching them grow up from the same room every morning. That was her plan going into 2023. She never got the chance to execute it. December 31st, 2022. New Year's Eve. The Walshe home in Cohasset, Massachusetts, a rental house in an affluent coastal community southeast of Boston, where Brian was living under house arrest while awaiting sentencing in a federal fraud case. Anna had returned from Washington, D.C. for the holidays. Their friend Jim Unger arrived at the house around 8:30 that evening. The 3 of them had dinner together. By every account from that night, the atmosphere was normal. No argument, no visible tension, nothing that signaled what was coming. Unger left the house between 1 and 1:30 in the morning on January 1st. The Walshes went to bed. In the early hours of January 1st, Anna made 3 phone calls, to her mother, to her sister, and to her maid of honor. None of them answered. She left no voicemails. Court records show she was last seen alive at approximately 4 a.m. Then the searches began on Brian's devices at 4:52 a.m. Then came the Lowe's trip. Then came the silence. When Brian later spoke to investigators, he told them Ana had received a work emergency call that morning and left the house around 6 or 7 a.m. to catch a flight from Logan Airport to Washington, D.C. He said she was wearing hunter boots, a black jacket, and her Hermes watch. He said she called for a ride. Investigators checked every rideshare record connected to that address. No Uber, no Lyft. No car service of any kind had been called from that house on January 1st. They checked Logan Airport. Ana had booked a flight to Washington, but it was scheduled for January 3rd. She had not rebooked it. She had not boarded any flight on January 1st. Her credit card showed no activity after January 1st. Her debit card showed no activity after January 1st. Her phone pinged near the Cohasset home on January 2nd, after Brian had already told police she was gone. She had not gone anywhere. On January 4th, Ana's employer, Tishman Speyer, contacted Cohasset police, not Brian, her workplace, because she had not shown up, had not called in, and had not responded to any messages. Corporate security manager Hugh Dunleavy spoke to Brian that day and later testified that Brian sounded calm, measured, cooperative. Brian told him Ana had gone to D.C. for a work emergency. Cohasset police launched a formal search on January 5th, deploying K-9 units and search and rescue teams through the wooded areas surrounding the home. Investigators began pulling digital records, and what they found on Brian's devices stopped the investigation in its tracks. The searches starting at 4:52 a.m. on January 1st were not casual. They were not philosophical. They were operational. The kind of searches a person runs when they have a specific physical problem in front of them and need a practical solution. Prosecutors would later tell the jury that those searches began, according to their timeline, before Ana's body had been moved, meaning they were not panic searches run after discovering a death, as the defense would later claim, but searches run while the problem was still in the room. On January 8th, investigators executed a search warrant on the Walshe home. In the basement, they found blood on the floor, blood on the walls, and a damaged bloody knife. Evidence of significant cleaning effort was visible throughout. Someone had worked hard to restore the room's appearance. They had not worked hard enough. Brian was arrested that same day on a charge of misleading a police investigation. But investigators were already building a second parallel case, one built entirely from surveillance cameras, store receipts, and trash bags. Then a strange email arrived at the Cohasset Police Department. It claimed someone was holding Ana Walshe. It demanded $127,000 for her return. It was sent from a Gmail account registered to a name nobody could verify. Investigators took it seriously. They had to, but something about it felt constructed from the start. The email set no deadline. It provided no contact instructions. It included no proof of life. It read less like a ransom demand and more like something designed to introduce an alternative explanation into an investigation that was already closing in. The email went nowhere, and investigators turned back to the physical trail. Before the trial began, something happened that nobody had fully anticipated. On November 18th, 2025, moments before jury selection was scheduled to start, Brian Walshe changed his plea on 2 of the 3 charges against him. He pleaded guilty to misleading a police investigation and to improper conveyance of a human body, meaning he admitted in open court that he had dismembered his wife's remains and disposed of them in dumpsters. What he did not admit was killing her. His defense attorney, Larry Tipton, delivered the argument to the jury in opening statements. He told them that Brian had found Ana unresponsive in their bed on the morning of January 1st, that she had died suddenly without explanation while they slept. That Brian, a man already facing federal sentencing in an unrelated fraud case, had panicked at the sight of his wife's body and made a catastrophic series of decisions driven entirely by fear. That he could not call 911 because he genuinely believed no one would think he was innocent. That the Google searches were not planning. They were the frantic, desperate, disbelieving searches of a man trying to process something his mind could not accept. Tipton asked the jury one question in closing arguments that landed hard in that courtroom. Why is the man searching now if he had planned to kill his wife? It was not a weak argument. A man convicted of art fraud. A man who knew how investigations worked, who had reason to distrust the system, who had seen what happened when he was caught once before. A man who might genuinely have believed that panic and concealment were his only options. The jury sat with that argument for 6 hours. What the defense could not explain away was the timeline. Prosecutors brought in digital forensic evidence showing that the first search, how do you dispose of a body, was run at 4:52 a.m. on January 1st. According to the prosecution's reconstruction, that timestamp placed the search before the body had been moved, before the basement had been cleaned, before the Lowe's trip, meaning the searches were not a reaction to discovering a death, but preparation for what came next. Then came the physical evidence from the trash processing facility near Brian's mother's home in Swampscott. Investigators recovered from those bags a hatchet, a hammer, a hacksaw, blood-soaked towels, the Tyvek suit, cleaning agents, a Prada purse, boots matching the ones Ana had been described as wearing, and a COVID-19 vaccination card with Ana Walshe's name printed on it. The Massachusetts State Crime Laboratory tested every item. Ana Walshe's DNA was on the hacksaw. Ana Walshe's DNA was on the hatchet. Ana Walshe's DNA was confirmed on multiple other items recovered from those bags. Brian Walshe's DNA was on the Tyvek suit. You can see in the suit he had purchased on camera with cash, wearing gloves the morning the searches began. Prosecutors also pointed to the rug. Brian had purchased a new rug from Home Goods on January 2nd. The rug he threw away, the one that had been in the basement, and was recovered covered in blood. The prosecution told the jury the bloody rug and the new rug told a simple, complete story about what had happened in that basement and what Brian had done to hide it. 50 witnesses. 8 days of prosecution testimony. The defense called none. Brian Walshe chose not to testify. December 15th, 2025, Norfolk Superior Court, Dedham, Massachusetts. The jury filed back in after 6 hours of deliberation across 2 days. Brian Walshe sat at the defense table and stared straight ahead. He showed no visible reaction as the foreperson read the verdict. Guilty. First-degree murder. Norfolk County District Attorney Michael Morrissey spoke to reporters outside the courthouse. He told them his office had heard from Ana's sister, who said 3 words: "Justice has been served." He called the conviction historic. The first-degree murder conviction in his memory secured entirely without recovering the victim's body. No body. No confirmed cause of death. No murder weapon intact. Built from store cameras, a child's iPad, a Tyvek suit, and a hacksaw found in a dumpster. 3 days later, Brian Walshe was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He was led from the courthouse in handcuffs and shackles and said nothing. Ana Walshe came to America at 23 with a degree in French literature and the kind of ambition that does not wait for permission. She learned the language, worked the long hours, built the career, raised the boys, and became the kind of person her friends described as someone who always showed up. She was 39 years old. Her 3 boys are in state custody. Her plans for 2023, to be home more, to close the distance, to watch her children grow up from the same room, ended in the basement of a house in Cohasset on New Year's Day. Some cases give investigators a confession. Some give them a body. This one gave them a shopping receipt, a masked man on a hardware store camera, and a search typed into a child's tablet at 4:52 in the morning. The camera was watching. The algorithm was saving. And Ana Walshe's sister got the only 3 words that mattered. Justice has been served.